Hi friends, I'm Penny Hunt and this is Penny Heart to Heart Day 50. Look at that, Day 50, and that means this is the 50th video I've made. I've come to you every day at 3 o'clock Mountain Time talking to you about this situation that we're in and giving you tips and ideas about how to get through this. It's unusual times for sure, and this is not only the 50th video, this is the 50th day I have been in my home. I have not stepped foot in a store. I have done a couple curbside grocery pickups and a couple drop-off things at my kids' house and family house on their front step and taken off. So I have literally been in my home for 50 days. We have gone for a couple drives in the evenings. My husband and I will go for a drive around town and not get out of our car. But other than that, I have been home. I wouldn't call it quarantine. I would call it separation. I've been separated from the world. And today, I mentioned yesterday, today is going to be my last video. I think 50 days, 50 videos is a long time. I'm not going to stop doing videos. I've always done Facebook Live videos. I've always put up videos on my YouTube channel, and I will continue to do that. I do one every time I do a writing and post a blog post and things like that. Sometimes when I just want to chat, I will do one. But I'm not going to do these specifically in this series of, I called it Penny Heart to Heart, we're in this together, because I think 50 days is long enough. I realize it's not over, and I realize none of us know how long this is going to last, although things are starting to open here and there, and so maybe we're going in that direction. We'll see. But I think 50 videos for this series is long enough. I am going to talk today about what I've learned in 50 days. 50 days. I have notes, lots and lots of notes. I have learned so much, and actually will be writing a blog about it and having that done soon. And it will be promoted here on Facebook and on my website and all the usual places when I get it complete. I'm trying to narrow it down and hone in on really the important things that I've learned, but I'm going to share some of those with you today. And the first one is, I just called it separation because I feel like I am separated from the outside world. I'm separated from friends and family and just a usual routine. I've been separated from that. So I will say the first thing I learned is that separation anxiety is real. It is real. I now understand why when I am just going to step out the door to get my mail, my dogs give me such a look like their life is over because they don't want me to leave. They don't want to be separated. I understand separation anxiety now in a way I never have before because I know what that's like now. I don't like it. I don't like it. I probably could make that same my life is over look too because I want to see my friends and my family. And I want to kiss those cheeks of my grandkids and things like that. And it is not possible. So it was a big lesson that I learned separation anxiety is real. I also learned and verified what I already knew about change. I learned a lot about change growing up. I grew up in a military family, and I learned very quickly that I either had to make friends on the playground or stand alone because we moved around a lot. And so I had to adapt and accept change. I truly believe that the people that live the longest, happiest, most successful lives are the ones that can adapt and accept change. Think about that. Change happens to all of us. I've had a lot of changes in my life. And that growing up, when I was the new kid in the classroom all the time, where I came in the middle of the year and sat down in the empty desk and didn't know anybody and had to start building a friend network. Friend building is what I learned how to do. And it was a technique that has served me well in life because I learned very quickly how to adapt to change. At the time, I thought it was child abuse, moving around so much and always being the new kid in school. But now I know that it was a life lesson in the making, and it has served me well on so many occasions. And this situation now has been a huge change. I'm used to go, go, go. I'm the Energizer bunny girl. I want to go and do and see, and I have FOMO, the fear of missing out, to the nth degree. So I do not like to be isolated and separated from that kind of movement in my life. And so this has been a huge change. I know that if you fight change, if you don't want to concede, and if you don't accept it, you are just making yourself miserable. There was nothing we could do about this situation. We were told, asked strongly, to stay in our homes, to stay safe and keep others safe. And so that's what most of us did. And we had to adapt to that. Some of us had to work from home and adapt to that kind of change. Many had to homeschool their kids and adapt to that kind of change. And think of the kids, the change that the kids had to adapt to and hopefully accept for the time being. And this will be such an experience to look back on. But change and the ability to accept and adapt change is something I always knew, and this situation has reinforced that in a big way. Another thing I learned is that I really need very little. I learned very clearly, crystal clearly, what the difference between want and need is. Do I want a lot of things? Sure. I want to go out on a date night with my husband. I want to sit in a movie theater. I want to go to my favorite coffee shop. I want to go to my hair salon. There's a lot of things that I want. But what I really need in this very second, in this very moment, in this breath, is I need to be nourished. I need to have food, which I do. I need to have water, which I do. I need to have a place to rest, and I have a bed that I can snuggle up and sleep in. I have a home for shelter. And what else do I really need in this second, in this moment of time? For me, a big thing is the interaction with others, and I'll talk about that in a minute. But the difference between what I want to do, what I want to have, and what I really need has become crystal clear during this process. Checking my notes here. Oh, here's one thing I learned. I never thought I would be making masks. Who would have ever thought we would be wearing masks, that it would be an accessory? But I have made over 50 for people in my family, people that I love and care about. I will tell you, I never thought I would be wearing a mask. And as I said, I've hardly been out. So when I do, I will be wearing my mask. But who would have ever thought? An interesting learning that we can adapt to something like that and accept something like that as kind of the norm right now to be safe, and is something that I never thought I would do. Another thing I learned, and it's something that I live by, is gratitude. And even in crisis time, we need to live in gratitude and be grateful. I am of the belief that until we are grateful for what we have, we will never have more. And although it might seem like we are missing out, it might seem like all those wants that I can list are really hurting me, all of those kind of things might seem really important, and we can get cranky about it and sad and depressed about it, or we can look around at what we do have and be grateful for that. I always say, if you can't think of anything that you're grateful for, be grateful that you have a pair of shoes to wear and a sandwich to eat for lunch. And hopefully you have those two things. Start with the simplest things and be grateful. Be grateful for this day, this breath that you just had. I am grateful for the things that I learned that I just need, that I have food and water and shelter and a bed to crawl in. And so being grateful for the little things is such a saving grace. It really, I have written before that gratitude and meditation saved my life, and I really believe that. But if we can live in gratitude, it makes accepting change. It makes accepting that we can't have everything we want. It makes the accepting of all of this kind of happenings during this situation easier to take. And living in gratitude is so important. It's hard to be in two emotions at the same time, so it's a very uncertain, fearful time. But if we live in gratitude and our mind is busy with gratitude, it's hard for our mind to also be afraid and uncertain and angry and all the ways that fear plays out. It's hard to do that at the same time. And so, again, another huge lesson is living in gratitude. Here's a good one, and I'm not doing these in any particular order. I have been taking notes about what I learned because there will be a future blog post about this, and narrowing it down because I feel like I learned so many things. But narrowing it down to give you kind of a synopsis today of what I feel like I've learned in the last 50 days. Here's a big one. I learned that people have their own opinions. People have their own opinions, and they are going to be on one side or another. I did a question the other day on Facebook and asked people if they are wearing masks and if they see others wearing masks. And it was very split. People were either adamant, yes, I wear my mask every time I step out of my house, or no, I am never going to wear a mask. It was adamantly split. In the same way, they would say, I see a lot of people out there wearing masks, or they'd say, no, I don't see very many. And I know it's different for everybody, but people's opinions and where they stand on how this situation should have been handled is very personal to them, and everybody has their own opinion. And so I think that's really interesting. I also believe that you can question someone's thoughts, you can question someone's opinion, but you cannot mess with their beliefs. Think about that. Their core values and their core beliefs you cannot mess with because they are not going to waver on those. Opinions and thoughts and observations you can have a discussion about, but beliefs is that's what people stand by, and that's what causes this tension and disagreement about how the situation is handled. And if you stand back and look at how this is played out, I think you will see that. It comes down to people's beliefs and their core values, and not necessarily just their thoughts and opinions, but if you funnel down a little bit more, it is their belief system. I know I forgot one I wanted to talk about. Oh, here's a good one. And this series of 50 videos that I have made daily, I titled Pennie Heart to Heart, We're in This Together. That has become the mantra. We're in this together. Every newspaper you pick up, every news that you watch on television, anywhere you go, on the radio, you hear, we're in this together. And what I have learned, what I believe I have discovered, is that that is so far from the truth. Yes, we are all one world. Yes, there is one human species. And yes, this has touched all of humanity. But we are not even close to being in this together. Every one of us, every country, every state, every community, every family, and every person is having an individual experience. My experience is nothing like yours. We have people that have lost their jobs, that they have lost their business, that they spent their life building. We have families that are struggling to feed their children because they don't have the income. We have children that are used to eating school lunches and now they can't have those. We have people that have someone in the hospital that they can't even see in intensive care because you can't go visit them. We have people that are watching remotely funerals of someone they love because we can't have funerals. I am so lucky. I have food to eat. I listed the things the needs that I have. There are people that don't have their needs fulfilled right now. We are not in this together on the same boat. Our boats are all different. Our boats are all different sizes, and I won't pretend to know what some people are going through, and I won't pretend to know what or pretend to compare my experience with yours. I have heard that over and over again, and like I said, I titled these videos that because I wanted everybody to join me, and I wanted to give tips and techniques of how to get through this together. And I really thought that sounded like a good tagline, but the more I thought about it and the more I've lived through this 50 years, I realized the different experience we are all having. There are people that are home alone, totally alone, isolated. I am lucky that I have my husband and my 2 little dogs. I feel sorry for myself sometimes because I want to go out and do those wants, but I am not totally alone. So we are all having such a different experience. And parts of the country, I'm lucky to live in a place where our numbers aren't high, but then you look at the places where they have the explosion of cases and deaths, and that experience to live in those communities has to be very different than mine. And so, yes, it's happening to all of us, but we are all having very, very different experiences. Let me see. Getting close. I think one of the other things is, I just want to make sure I don't forget anything. And this by no means is everything I've learned, because when I sit down to write about this and you read the writing, I have learned so much more. But another thing I think we need to really pay attention to is what we take for granted. I was going to do a survey and ask people what they learned from this, and I realized that because this is day 50 for me, may not be day 50 for you, and I realized we've all learned something different. Again, we are not having identical experiences here, and so we all have different experiences. But what I think we might all agree on is that we had taken life for granted. That if we look back on it, maybe our life was pretty good, even though we thought it maybe wasn't. Maybe there was a lot of wants in our life even 50 days ago that we thought we needed more, we wanted more. I talked the other day in a video about how to know when enough is enough, and that we always want more. We always want, a new car or a new home or a different job or a different spouse or a spouse at all. We always want for something. And when is enough enough? I mentioned in that one that we can only eat one meal at a time. We can only watch one television at a time or drive one car at a time. But yet we always want more. And so I think if we look back on our life 50 days ago, we might have thought, oh, this is just not perfect. I want so much more. I want it to be such a different life for me. And yet now, from this standpoint, if we look back 50 days, we took a lot for granted. And that life was pretty good. And so I think that is a huge lesson, not to take life for granted. And to be grateful for what we have, because you never know when things are going to change. I hear this term, the new normal. We're going to have the new normal. And I will tell you, that's a term that kind of doesn't resonate with me well. I'm trying to say that in a nice way. That term has been laid at my feet so many times in my life. After my divorce, after my child passed away. There's so many times that we have been told, oh, you just have to get used to the new normal. well, maybe there is no such thing as a normal. There's maybe no such thing as something being consistent and the same. And maybe we should stop waiting for a new normal, because isn't it life? Don't we call it life when things change? We would not want to be stagnant. We would not want to be still. Things happen, things change. Some of them are good, some of them are tragedy. But that is life. We are on this continually changing pattern, and we call that life. Even aging. We could say we have to get used to the new normal with every birthday if we want to say that. But that term, the new normal, kind of frustrates me a little bit, because when something like this happens and you have a tragedy or a crisis in your life and you live through something like this, it might not ever be normal. Our life of 50 days ago may not ever come back. My life may never look like that again. I don't know how this is going to turn out. I think we will have a lot of changes to adapt and adjust to. And maybe when we just get used to it and think, oh, this feels kind of normal, there's going to be another change. There always is. And so that term, the new normal, I don't try to use much because I'm not fond of it. I think it's life. It's this roller coaster of life that we're on. There you have it. 50 videos. 50 days I've been in my home coming to you and giving tips and techniques. I've done everything from talking about writing a personal troubleshooting guide to get through this, to meditation was the first one. I talked about meditation, to enjoying the outside and how the sky is bluer and how things have slowed down and quieted in our life. And maybe that was the whole point of it. I don't know. I think it's yet to come. But I have enjoyed coming to you for 50 days. I so appreciate those of you, some of you have been here with me every day, and I appreciate you setting that timer, or however you have reminded yourself to be with me at 3 o'clock Mountain Time. But what I want to say in ending is that I really wanted this to be a gift to you, that I could share things from my book, that I could share things from my life, that I could just share ideas and thoughts that I have that have worked for me before and I hoped would work for you. And so I hope that it's been meaningful and that you've gained something from this. But what I also want to say is a great big huge thank you for allowing me this platform to come to you and talk. I am a talker. It's one of those things that I need to talk, and I need to express myself, and I am a people person. I need to interact, and this has given me an outlet to do that. It's given me a reason to get up and do my hair in the morning. It's given me a reason to think and write and come up with new topics every day and express myself in the way that I love. So I thank you for that. I thank you for being here with me for 50 days. And remember, I'm not going away. I'm just not going to be doing every day at 3 o'clock. I'm just not going to be here every day. But I will be doing videos, and I will be posting and writing and sending out my newsletter. So on that note, the last day to enter into my book drawing, if you want a copy of my book, just write in the comment line, I love your book, and you will be in the drawing. I will let the winner know tomorrow, and that will be the last time I give away books for a while, at least for this series of videos. I also would invite you to sign up for my newsletter. You can get to that through my website or through this Facebook page. There's a click up on the top of my Facebook page to sign up for my newsletter. It's free. Comes out every Sunday night at 6 o'clock. And all of these videos are on my YouTube channel. If you want to binge on Pennie, you can go to my YouTube channel and see the 50 videos in this series of Pennie Heart to Heart. And there's another over 100 videos on there as well with tips and techniques when I have done videos of my writings. I I thank you so much for 50 days of your time. 50 days. I'm Pennie Hunt. This has been Pennie Heart to Heart. Thanks for watching.